Hello, and welcome to Living Her Legacy, a podcast that celebrates and serves mamas who are choosing to live their best lives after starting their families. I'm your host, Jill Sutton, and thank you so much for joining today. I'm back, and Happy New Year. It is January 2nd when you guys are listening to this. I'm recording this the day prior on January 1st. I have missed you guys. I stopped podcasting pretty much after the birth of my son. He is my third child. I had him July 2024 with every intention of continuing to podcast week in, week out on my maternity leave before I returned to work. And it just didn't happen. As I looked at that sweet little boy's face, I thought to myself, all I want to do is soak in these moments and spend all the time that I have with him. I didn't want really any distractions. And the podcast, although I love and is so fun, I just couldn't get the drive and the excitement to come back while he was home with me. Cue where we are now. I have started my first full week of work. I'm back to 8-hour shifts. I did 3 months at half days, so 4-hour shifts. And he starts daycare next week. So I am super devastated and sad about that. But it's time. It's time for me to kind of get back into some of the things that I want to do. And I know he's going to do well at daycare. And I'm back to work full time, which is just nearly impossible to keep him home 8-hour days and try to focus on my job. So if you're new around here, thank you so much for joining. We are going to get all into who I am and what I do on this podcast. But I wanted to tune your attention to the YouTube channel. It is now titled Jill G. Sutton. So you can look me up on YouTube, and these videos are actually going to go straight to YouTube. I had been meaning to do that with some of the past videos, but really going through the editing process of videos that were years old was just too much for me. So I've actually hooked up my new DSLR camera, and the video quality should be good. I've got my Yeti mic. The audio quality should be good. It's just, if it's not, it's user error. It's me trying to figure it out. So head on over to YouTube, Jill G. Sutton. You can find these going up there now. I wanted to start the new year off with a short episode analyzing how last year's, I guess you could call them, they're not resolutions, but we said goodbye to 10 things last year and didn't carry them over into 2024. And that was kind of, instead of doing resolutions, that was kind of my goal for the year, was just to get rid of some of the things in my life that weren't serving me anymore. And I'm going to go through those 10 things with you real quick. I'm just going to say what they were, and then we're going to go into a little bit about each one of them and how I feel like I did. And I highly recommend you do this, but I feel like analyzing and reviewing your year or goals that you have set is really important for your future growth. I've learned a lot of things that I have a tendency to do that I just never really put my finger on. But here we go. So here's the 10 things that I said goodbye to in 2024. Number one was paying attention to growth on social media. I said goodbye to that. Number two was avoiding topics on my podcast due to my being uncomfortable. Number three was restrictive eating. Number four, rushing my kids. Number five, devaluing rest. Number six, denying myself just being like simple pleasures or enjoying a victory of some kind. Number seven was being scared to succeed. Number eight was inconsistency in my message. Number nine, guilt around decluttering. And 10, negative self-talk. So these are 10 of the things that I said goodbye to in 2024. And let's just see how I did. I said goodbye to growth on social media. I was fascinated with growing my accounts on social media and on Instagram, let's just say. And what's interesting is I don't believe my Instagram account has grown all year. I don't believe I gained but one subscriber in 2024, even though I didn't consistently post, but I posted quite a bit. And I love Instagram, but you know what? I just kind of got a little bit tired of it. And I think because I was seeing no growth, I actually feel like I netted negative this last year, but a lot of it maybe was bots or spam people. Either way, I'm trying to find my people. I'm trying to have a following of people that want to see my content, not someone that has to be there or that forgot they were there. I'd rather them leave. So my focus last year was not on growth of social media, but just kind of trying some different things. This led to an interesting turn of events because when I stopped focusing so much on Instagram, I actually started posting a little bit on TikTok and on YouTube Shorts. What's so crazy is I had been trying for a year to get into the Amazon influencer program. I knew you had to have a certain number of followers and you had to post so many things consistently in order to get into this program to be able to sell or influence, the products that you yourself purchase on Amazon. And I tried for probably almost a year and a half to get onto this program via Instagram. And I was on TikTok for probably a month and a half and I got accepted into the program. So go figure. I had less than 100 subscribers on TikTok at the time and I got approved. So it's just by not focusing so much on the Instagram growth, I was actually able to spread out a little bit and gain some source of income that I didn't have before. So then I would also post on YouTube Shorts, and I've had quite some good success on YouTube Shorts. In fact, I recently had one video hit over 27,000 and gained me over 60 subscribers to YouTube. Again, if I'm saying numbers only so that you can understand, but this was not the whole focus. Now, with YouTube, in order to get monetized, you have to have 1,000 subscribers and you have to have 4,000 consecutive watch hours within a 365-day period. And that one reel or short alone bumped us over 1,000 subscribers. So our new goal with YouTube is going to be getting the rest of those 4,000 watch hours. So you'll be seeing that down the road, but that is not something we're focused on now. Now, if you don't know, we do have a YouTube channel. It is my channel, but it is a family channel called Josh and Jill on the Hill. And it basically focuses on some Southern living and lifestyle as well as travel. So if you want to check out our family channel, Josh and Jill on the Hill, if you want to check out this podcast, it's going to be on Jill G. Sutton. All right. So my focus was not to grow on social media per se, but it did actually boost some growth in other areas because of my disinterest or my stop obsessing over follower count on Instagram. Number 2, avoiding topics on my podcast due to me being uncomfortable. I only published 25 episodes last year because I took that long break compared to, I think, 52 episodes in 2022. So I didn't really have the opportunity to avoid a topic because I just didn't create enough content. I am looking forward to what 2025 has to offer, and especially because I'm going to be getting into a little bit more of my niche, which is pregnancy, postpartum, pelvic floor. And those topics are a little bit taboo in certain scenarios, I guess you could say. So we'll see how people respond to it. Number 3 was saying goodbye to restrictive eating. I actually felt like I did really good at this in 2024. I was pregnant for nearly the entire first half of it. And then I was in early postpartum for several of those months. So most of the year, I was at a point in my life where I really needed increased calories and to avoid nausea and to heal my body. So I do feel like I did really well with that. Now, moving on to this year, that's going to be a little bit tough. We're not getting into that this time. Number 4 was saying goodbye to rushing my kids. I don't want to say this was an epic failure, but it was sort of an epic failure. This is such a hard area, especially if you have strong-willed kids and places to be. I am still working on this. I am not doing the best at this, but I am going to be working on it again this year. Not necessarily as one of my focuses, but just as a lifelong goal is just to be more patient with them, more able to communicate with them. Number 5 was devaluing rest, and lesson learned. I rested. I had Jet, and for the rest of the year, I really didn't do a whole lot as far as these other jobs. I didn't podcast. I blogged a few blogs. I didn't really do a whole lot. I did a couple of YouTube videos, but for the most part, I spent time with family. I did not work. I did work on the house a little bit, and spent time with Jet. I rested. I had to heal my body. I had a rude awakening at about 4 weeks postpartum where my pain actually started increasing. And I really had to remind myself that this is the time to rest, and resting is my job, and that's okay. So I'm going to be continuing to work on valuing rest in this new year. And I'm really excited for the progress that I made last year. Number 6, denying myself simple pleasures or like victories, celebrating victories. I don't do this very well. I pretty much jump from one task to the next task. I don't give myself a lot of credit, no pats on the backs. I just continue going. And one of the things that I feel the need to do is when my kids say, "Can you play with me?" to be able to stop and soak in that moment, because those are the moments that are fleeting, that are not going to stay long. They are growing up. They're 4 and 6. Obviously, Jet is not even 1 yet, but I know that those moments are going to go so fast. And I really want to connect with them in ways where I can disconnect from everything else and just hang out with them. I also talked about when I made this goal of just being silly for the sake of being silly, dancing in the kitchen, singing, doing things for fun. That doesn't have to be like on a planned vacation. Like, okay, we're going on vacation. Now is the time to just kind of unwind and relax. I want to be able to do that day in, day out, and not have it be a specific time. Like Saturday to Sunday is the only time I have to have fun and relax. No, I want to be able to incorporate that into my daily life. Did I do that okay? That's still a work in progress. That's something that's really hard for me as someone who likes to continually make gains, to feel like I need to be efficient in everything, to feel like I need to be doing something in order to feel valued. Okay. So that's just something that I'm working on. Number 7 was being scared to succeed. Imposter syndrome. This is still so prevalent, but what I have learned in the past, and actually I learned this early on, was the fear sometimes never goes away, but you have to do it while scared. I'm actually opening my very own cash-based pelvic floor physical therapy clinic and wellness center. So I have postpartum rehab classes that are starting in this new year, 2025. If you are local and you are within a year postpartum, please check me out. Come sign up. jillgsutton.com/postpartum foundations. You can find all the information there, or like I said, DM me, find me on Instagram, whatever. I would love to give you more information about that. Am I scared that I don't know everything? Yes, I am. But you know what? You don't get anywhere when you don't try, and you have to make mistakes along the way. That's something I've always been fearful of, is making mistakes. But you know what? You've got to do it to progress. I actually have a girlfriend that works for Plain Products. She's one of the social media content creator marketers that runs the Plain Products stuff, website, shorts, reels. I communicate with her when I am submitting everything. And she has her own YouTube channel, and she coined the term Project Aleph Win, or ALIFWIN. And what that stands for is Project Acting Like I'm Famous When I'm Not. And it's just a mindset. It really is a mindset. So she has gone on YouTube and is doing a little bit more of the influencer route. I'm hoping to be okay with doing some of that too. And a lot of it takes just getting out there and pretending you've got it, pretending you've got it. You know what you're doing. You know what you're talking about. Pretending like you have all the followers, pretending that people want your opinion. You have to be able to share in order to get it done, right? That is my new project for this year. Aleph Win, acting like I'm famous when I'm not. I also listened to another person's podcast. I can't remember her name right now. I'll have to link it in the show notes though, but she talked about embracing the cringe. She said, anybody who's made it, at one point, someone said to them, they are so cringe. They are all in on whatever they're doing. And that is like, oh, so embracing the cringe. 2025 is the year to embrace the cringe, go all in, go all 100% for it, have a message, do it. Okay. Which brings me to number 8, inconsistency in my message. This one, I think I spent all of 2024 trying to figure out my message. And I don't really know if I have in fact narrowed it down. But what I do know is I want to support moms. I want to support moms in pregnancy and postpartum and parenting. I want to be able to physically help them, emotionally help them. I want them to feel safe. I want them to feel empowered. I want them to feel like they have the knowledge to progress to what they want to do. I feel like I'm starting with that with the pelvic floor physical therapy and the postpartum rehab class. I feel like providing that information is going to be a stepstone to where I want to be. I'm still stuck on the fact that I would love to be a travel influencer, a family travel influencer. I would love to do that. We're taking a big trip this year. And so I'm going to be intermixing some of those things in my content as well. I think that that's hard. It's hard for me to really pinpoint what I want to do, but I know that I have to focus on one thing in order for something to take off. Right. So I think right now it's going to be motherhood, pregnancy, postpartum, and some parenting. We're going to go from there on the blog. We're going to do a little bit more of the traveling and onto YouTube, where obviously on the Josh and Jill on the Hill, we're going to be highlighting travel. Okay. Number 9, we got 2 left. Guilt around decluttering. I started this process. I was really excited for 2024. I did declutter some. However, you would not know it if you walked into our house right now. You would have absolutely no idea that I did any decluttering. But while I was off on maternity leave, I did. I did not have a plan in place for how to do it. And now I'm following this girl called the Decluttered Mom, and we're doing a 5-day program. And I'm going to keep you updated as we go on this 5-day program, which leads into a year-long calendar, which I've already printed off every single month, what I'm supposed to be decluttering each week. Stay tuned for updates because I need help. The guilt around decluttering, though, isn't there as much, but it's a family affair, right? Things have to be okay with my kids. Things have to be okay with my husband in order for me to be able to declutter and them not to be offended or hurt or upset. Last thing, number 10, saying goodbye to negative self-talk. This one is really did fine. I did fine with this all of last year, I feel like, but now is really where the struggle comes on. I'm 5 months postpartum. I don't look like I'm pregnant anymore. I don't look like I'm not pregnant anymore. I'm kind of this somewhere in between where everything's still soft. And I'm really trying to think about what I want to say to myself and especially out loud that my kids will hear. Remember, I have 2 daughters, a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old. They hear, they mirror, they imitate, they internalize what we say about myself. They internalize in themselves, right? So that is something that's super, super, super important to me, is working on my self-talk. And I feel like I did pretty good, like I said, with last year. I think the challenge is going to be in 2025. Whew. So some of these things were a lot easier to tackle than others throughout the year. However, I felt like it was hard to keep up with all of them all year long. So I'm going to be making changes to my process in 2025, and you will have to listen next week to find out what those changes are. Also, I'm going to be doing it a little bit differently. I'm not going to just be having outs like what I'm getting rid of in the year. I'm also going to have some ins. So you see a lot of that on social media. They have my ins and outs for the year. Your mission until next week is to write out a few things that you're saying goodbye to and a few things that you're saying hello to in 2025 that you're adding to your life. What do I want to say at the end of my podcast? I need a catchphrase at the end of my podcast. Tim Tracker and his wife, Jen, say, now it's time to pay the price. I have no idea where that came from. I'd have to look up the origin of that, but I'm going to need a outro to my podcast instead of see you next week. Somebody let me know. Give me some ideas. All right. Peace out. Talk to you later.